Hi, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I'm joined today by Kane Lilywhite, Multimedia Expert. Kane, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Kane is not only a multimedia expert, he's also a long-term client of mine. Kane and I have worked together for about two and a half years now on the floor. So Kane, before we start, why don't we tell everyone who you are and what you do for a living?
So currently I'm an account manager with a local financial institution. My career has been all over the place, to be very honest with you. When I first started off my career, I was in hospitality. I used to work in India. I was born in India, actually. So I used to work in India, worked in hospitality for 3 years with a hotel. I was assistant duty manager over there. Came to Canada in 2014. I did my MBA over here.
Okay.
And after that, I was working with an e-commerce institution. So
What made you, oh, sorry, you froze on me.
No, go on.
I was going to say, what made you decide to move to Canada?
Number of reasons, actually. For one, the job opportunities in India are not as good. It's extremely competitive and very cutthroat. And something I didn't really believe in. When I worked in India, I worked for 3 years at the Taj. And honestly, the work-life balance was really bad. I was working between 12, maybe 14 hours a day at times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. I was working at the front office, so I got to meet a lot of interesting people like celebs and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
But at the same time, I wanted to grow my career, and I felt my career stagnated over there.
Yeah.
I was looking at Canada and Australia.
Okay.
And I was initially supposed to go to Australia because I have a lot of family over there.
Right.
But Canada worked out better because the occupation list in Canada is much broader than what it is in Australia.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are 12 to 14-hour workdays, is that normal in India?
Oh, yeah.
It is. Okay.
Yeah, my shift was technically 9 hours. Front office, right? So you can work like in the morning, afternoon, evening shifts, or
right,
the graveyard shift.
Okay.
So a lot of times, I mean, given the fact at the Taj in India, and it's a huge hotel. I mean, it's like 560 rooms, but the kind of clientele that we would get over there would be all these diplomats and stuff.
Right.
So they needed to put you in the grind in those kind of hours, especially, you know, if you're dealing with kind of clientele like that. So
okay. So you moved here in 2014, and tell me from there, what did you start as far as your career? I mean, what happened next?
So when I moved here in 2014, I actually moved with Nikki. So Nikki came here about a month earlier.
Okay. And just so people know,
we both. Yeah, Nikki's my girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay.
So I moved here a month after her, and I was studying on the island. I did my MBA, and I also got a Master of Science in International Business from that same university.
Okay.
Was over there for about 18 months before I moved to Vancouver, just because job opportunities are so much better. I was working very briefly with an e-commerce company. Mm-hmm. I had to move to where I am today, and I haven't had a single regret ever since.
Really?
It was honestly like a really good decision for me, I feel.
Yeah.
Because my life has just propelled forward, which would have honestly never happened in India.
Right. And when was the last time you went back to India?
2018. I had a friend's wedding, which I went for.
Okay.
Yeah, and things have changed like crazy over there right now as well. I mean, I'm on, to be very honest with you, I'm kind of glad that I'm not there at this point.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, they have the lockdown going on because of this virus stuff.
Sure.
And like they keep on extending it. So I don't know. I think they started it in mid-March, and now they've extended it to May 17th.
Wow.
And when I say lockdown, it's a country of like 1.2, 1.3 billion people.
Yeah.
And like everyone's at home. Like, I mean, it's insane. Like I keep seeing these videos because I have a lot of friends like from India who keep sharing videos of stuff that's happening there.
Right.
Like, I mean, people are stuck in cities, like especially these laborers and stuff. Right. Nikki just showed me a video this morning of these laborers in the back of this cement mixer.
Okay.
Like they all jumped into this cement mixer because they were probably in Mumbai or something, a big city, and they had to go back to the villages. But because of the lockdown, they're kind of stuck in Bombay, so they had to like sneak out of the city. So they went into like this massive cement mixer, and then they like start walking out of it, and there are like 10, 15 of them just like crammed in there. It's really crazy what's going on in that country right now.
Oh my God. Do you have any family still there right now?
I do. I have my mom and my sister in
Okay.
India.
And
So
what have they told you about life in lockdown right now?
well, for them, they're barely leaving the house, honestly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's really like they can go out for groceries and stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, there are chances that the cops might catch you.
Okay.
But for essential things like going out to get groceries and all of that stuff, I mean, there's no problem really.
And if they catch you there, I would imagine, I mean, it's different than if they catch you here.
Yeah, oh yes, it is. They beat the hell out of, like, I've seen some videos of these guys on bikes. Like, I mean, the cops would stop them, and they don't have guns. Like, they don't have guns like how the cops over here. They have
Right.
these things what they call lathis.
Okay.
It's these like massive rods.
Yeah.
And they like whack them on the backside. Like, it's it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like wow, you never see that in a country like Canada.
Well, and that's the thing. People don't realize how lucky we are to be in Canada. And I mean, how lucky, like I have people who live here in Vancouver and like, we're in lockdown, we're in lockdown. I'm like, well, you're not really in lockdown. You're still allowed to leave your place and you're still allowed to move around. You're not really tied to home. Yeah, you should be at home for most of the day and practice social distancing, good hygiene and so on, but you're not forced to stay in your house. So,
yeah, exactly.
I
mean, it's really funny because like the kind of stuff that we take for granted over here,
yeah,
we don't really take it for granted back in India. Just simple things. I don't have anything off the top of my head, but there are a lot of things over here that just are really simple to acquire and get. Like, even for example, the work culture in Canada. I mean, there was a time when I first started working over here and I was sick for a day. And like I called my boss, and when I was in India, I would always dread calling my boss and be like, hey, I ain't coming today, I'm not feeling too well, whatever. Because in India, they would be like, no, you better come to work today.
Oh, really?
Come hell or high water. Yeah, you better come to work today. We have like 250 different check-ins going on, and we need you and stuff. And we're like,
okay,
shit, I better get there.
Right.
But over here, like if I call in sick, they don't even question it. They don't ask for a doctor's note or anything. I mean, unless it's like a really long span of time that I'm away for. But
yeah.
Like it's, I would say, easier over here in comparison.
So I'm assuming with that said, you probably don't plan on moving back there anytime soon.
No, I don't.
No. Yeah.
No, I don't. It's why you see a lot of people from India coming over here as well. Yeah. Because, just because of the simplicity of life and the freedom that we have over here, the freedom of choice and stuff. Like, yeah. I mean, when I left India in 2015, they banned beef. Like, I mean, like beef is just straight up banned in India.
Is that right?
Like all kinds of beef. So,
really?
Yeah. Like there's no more beef and being sold in India. And if you get caught, like you get lynched. I mean, it's really bad. So when I came here and I was able to eat the beef and stuff, I was like, hey, that's awesome.
You're insane. Just for beef.
I mean, exactly. Right. It's just a simple thing which we take for granted, but in India, it's not there anymore. Right. So,
I train. I work with a lot of clients, and a lot of my clients, and they come from other countries like Iran or India, like you say, or they'll come from certain parts of China or Japan. And when I have conversations with them, I don't realize really how lucky I am to have been born and raised in Canada, where I've never had to deal with these type of limitations or discrimination or anything like that. What would you say right now was the hardest part, though, of moving to Canada for you?
Picking up everything and getting out. I mean, because I literally spent when I came to Canada, I was 25.
Right.
I in India, right? So it's just like picking up your entire life and moving it over to this country, right? So I think that was like the scariest part, honestly.
Okay.
But at the same time, it was very mixed feelings for me because I still have a lot of friends in India.
Right.
And I'm still in touch with them and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like this was a new life for me. This was like a forward for me. It was kind of unnerving, honestly, coming here first.
Yeah.
Just because there was besides Nikki, who I knew, there was no one else. Like I have an uncle who's in Toronto.
Yeah.
But on the West Coast, starting from scratch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Well, and that's the thing with you is I've known you for a while, and you're a super nice guy, and you're easy to talk to, and everyone likes you. Everyone who meets you likes you. I mean, you've trained in a lot of my group classes, and everyone always has something good to say about you. So I think you make friends easily. I want to switch over though to a hobby of yours, multimedia. Mm-hmm. I consider you to be a multimedia expert. I mean, you're the reason why I got the Yeti mic.
I'm using it. I'm using the same one as well.
There you go. Yeah. And that was the first thing you said to me. You're like, your videos would sound so much better with a good mic. And I said, what do you have? What do you recommend? And you told me Yeti mic. I went out and got it. Best investment I ever made from my business. So when did this hobby start?
When I was really young, when I say, I mean, when I was really young, when I was like maybe 13 or 14 or whatever, I got interested in, social media and making videos and stuff like that. So I
Okay.
used to make a few videos like for YouTube. I used to have iMovie, which,
Oh,
which is like a very basic software. You just like string stuff together and like put
right.
it online and stuff. That was something that I found really particularly interesting. And I used to talk a lot about movies, and I started writing a lot at the same time. So I would write about different movies that I enjoyed, and what made them work out, what made them work the way they did.
Right.
And that's really what got me into it. I started learning how to, and when I started doing all this, it was like the dawn of YouTube around that time. So
Okay.
it was like a wild west, on the platform. You had like cat videos, and you had these parodies, and reaction videos and all of
Right.
that stuff. And I mean, it was kind of a joy for me at that time.
Yeah.
Just to like take a break, because it was an alternative to television, and
Sure.
television, like you're kind of limited with what you have.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the first things that actually got me started.
Okay.
And then I started making videos more frequently, and I kind of got the hang of what to do, and how to move the layering around and detaching the audio and all that stuff and playing around with it. So I got pretty good at that stuff. And right now in my job, even though I'm an account manager, well, I'm an account manager because of COVID-19.
Sure.
But before this, I was an educator at a local college with the bank itself.
Okay.
So the bank actually had a branch. Well, we still have a branch, which is temporarily shut right now. We have a branch in this college, and we do financial education.
Okay.
And the means of doing financial education is through advice events. So I would put together all of the material, from the presentations to the posters. So I was also trying to upskill the employees in my bank for digital banking, because there's a huge shift from the traditional banking. Like, no one's going into banks anymore. It's kind of obvious, like, because of the advent of digital banking. But a lot of our advisors were very jaded.
Okay.
Like, I mean, we're talking about people who are like, been working at the branch for like 20, 30 years.
Okay.
So I teach them how to use digital banking. And the way I did that was through a video. So like, I made this massive, like 15, 17-minute long video on how to use the platform. And I like put it up on our internal Connect portal.
Right.
And it spread, like everyone like really liked it, and got recognition from the big guys on top and stuff. I'm like, oh, you can do this. I was like, yeah, I can. Because you don't really see a guy who works in a bank who knows how to edit video.
Sure.
And put stuff together and stuff, So they're kind of taken aback with that, and that's why they actually gave me this role.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been in that role ever since. But because of COVID-19, I've moved to a traditional branch.
Okay.
So as a regular account manager, essentially.
Right. But everything that you've learned on like multimedia, YouTube, all this stuff, you taught yourself.
Yeah, I taught it all myself.
You didn't take
I've
any
not gone
courses.
to any course. No.
Okay. So would you ever consider, pursuing a career in, say, podcasting or anything like that? Or is that an oversaturated industry?
No, it's not oversaturated, actually. I think it's growing quite a bit at this point in time. I was considering starting a podcast when you started yours.
Oh.
Because I started thinking about doing something very similar. Because this time at home,
right,
we spent talking to others, connecting with others who I have not really spoken to for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think that would be that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
But I still need to figure out what I would need to do. Like what the subject of discussion was going to be. Is there going to be a particular theme to the podcast? Things like that, really. But yeah, after you started yours, I started considering doing one as well.
Well, one of the reasons I did it was, as you know, I have a lot more time on my hands now, and that's something that I never have. I'm used to banging out 12, 14-hour days like in India, but at the gym. So that's like my usual schedule. So with that taken away, I thought, well, I need to work on something else. And this is something that both Megan, my associate, Megan, we've spoken about in the past about, starting something that's more interactive for our clients. So our goal wasn't necessarily to try to get necessarily new clients from this. It was just something to offer for our current clients. And if we can get some of our own clients on the show, that'd be even better. And it's interesting because as soon as I asked you, you're like, yeah, no problem. Let's do it. And so it was great because, it's hard to get, sometimes it's difficult to get people on. Some people get camera shy and they don't want to really talk, or, they don't know what to say.
Mhm.
So for yourself personally, are you still thinking about starting something as far as a podcast?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, 100%.
Right.
I still need to think about like what it's going to be, what
Yeah.
it's going to be about. If it's going to be about anything, or is it just going to be like a random discussion? You know?
Right. Right. Yeah. Which
Um,
which
but
can
yeah,
be
but
fun too.
it's good, right? I mean, like it's what we're doing right now, and that's what I like about podcasts. Actually,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's so one of the things that I don't like about television, and particularly the news, is
Mhm.
that it's very biased. There's a
Yes.
lot of bias in the news. You know,
Yeah.
like you have CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and you can sort of tell the way they're going to spin the story. You know, they can have a story about Trump, and CNN will spin it one way, and Fox will spin it the other way, and then
Exactly.
you, as the viewer, are wondering like, well, which one is right? You know,
Yeah.
like who do I go to? And that's where podcasts come in, because it allows for those long form discussions, right? So when you talk to someone, you get to learn a lot about them just by purely talking to them. You can see the way they think, their psyche, their mannerisms, their
Yeah.
etiquettes, and you can sort of you can sort of base your judgment around that kind of behavior. Really.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about podcasts, is that it's very, you know, there's no teleprompters,
No.
you know, there's scripting as such. You know, it's just two people having a dialogue. And
Yeah.
I think that's where you get to see the most real sort of dialogue take place.
I
So
agree.
yeah, that's my retake on podcasts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had one of my clients actually, and he was on here a few weeks ago, and he was telling me, I'll only do, like, he gets interviewed quite a bit for different channels, and he says, I'll only do podcast things where it's not going to be edited out, because he says, he's been on CTV and stuff for interviews, and he says, they'll edit me and they'll make me sound like a different person,
Yeah,
So he says he can't stand it. So he says, I no longer go on TV. He says, I refuse to. This is the local shows, but he says, just for that reason, like you're saying, they can kind of control and manipulate what you're going to say. If you say something, they can edit that out.
exactly. Yeah,
So
I mean, and that's really bad, right? I mean, because like you're changing the narrative of the story,
yeah,
right? I mean, out of context, like it's just gonna sound bad if we say something and it means something else. But I mean, that's what the news does. I think that's why trust in the media is also dying lately, and which is why a lot of people are turning to podcasts and these audio type of format, these long formats of discussions to get their news from.
right.
It's because trust in the news
Oh, you froze on me. Oh, we just lost Kane for a second.
in the shows are like,
There it is.
you have like 10, 15. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. We just froze for a
That's
second.
it.
You froze on
Okay.
me. That's okay. I can see it.
Oh, okay.
Where
Yeah.
do
So I was saying, so the time format.
yeah,
So the time format of the news is that we'll have like a half an hour long show.
yeah,
You have like, let's say 10 minutes of ads coming on right in between. And then you have like 5 or 6 people or across the panel get their point across, right? And they have like a set amount of questions which they have to get to. So they have to be very brief and very concise when they speak.
right.
Topics are really complex to discuss, and you can't do that over like such a short span of time, right? So
Sure.
podcasts there is definitely a future for podcasts, and I don't think the market is as saturated as it can possibly be.
Okay. So where does someone like you, where do you get your news from? Do you follow CNN or Fox, or do you go somewhere else for your news?
It depends on the kind of news that I'm getting. So,
Okay.
for example, I've been following a lot of the British news as well,
Okay.
because of Brexit and the
Right.
implications. And this is also before COVID. This was all before COVID-19 started, like
Sure. Okay.
that, right?
So is that,
So there's this news channel. Sorry,
yeah. No, go ahead.
there's this news channel called TLDR. Too long didn't read. What they do is that they make videos on current ongoings with Brexit. And they break it down in really simplistic fashion, because there are a lot of jargons and a lot of terminologies and stuff which these guys use, which the common public would not understand. And they do it in a very unbiased sort of fashion, which I really like. They don't pick a side when talking about Brexit. They don't say they don't pick the leaving or the staying part of it. They just speak about what's happening and the potential implications of what's happening. So it gives you a very unbiased perspective, which is what I personally enjoy, honestly.
Right.
In terms of like the financial markets and stuff, there's a podcast which I listen to called Invested.
Okay.
Invested is a fantastic podcast. These guys are value investors, so they look at people like Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, and they speak about investing from that perspective, basically buying companies when they're on sale.
I see.
And I find that particularly insightful as well, because again, they put both sides of the argument forward when it comes to a certain thing.
Sure.
And I think that's what's necessary, right?
Yeah.
Because if you only know one side of the argument, your views are going to be skewed. Essentially,
Yes.
you need to have both sides of the argument. Right?
Yeah.
And then on YouTube, there's this guy named Philip DeFranco.
Okay.
I started listening to him a really long time ago. He's blown up very recently, but he does much the same. Like, he gives both sides of the argument, and he gives his own perspective on it. And he always says, this is just my perspective.
Okay.
Your views can differ. If you have any different views, that's fine, and you can leave a comment or whatever, and I can follow up with it. So I like stuff like that, really.
Yeah. Well, you're following sources that are not just trying to sensationalize news, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, actually, before we move on with that, with COVID-19, because you mentioned COVID-19, how do you feel we're handling it here in Vancouver, British Columbia?
I think we're doing a good job, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the rest of the country, which, like, I think Toronto, Ontario, and I believe Quebec are really bad as far as the cases are concerned.
Yes.
BC is doing a really good job. I mean, from what Nikki tells me, and she works in healthcare, is that the hospitals, what they're doing right now is that they're trying to prepare and be ready for a possible outbreak. Right. So they've turned the Vancouver Convention Center into a hospital as well.
Right. Yeah.
They've opted to not go for elective surgery if possible as well. Things like that. And I see people really being understanding of the entire situation over here. I mean,
Sure.
it's and they support the healthcare healthcare team, right? I mean, you hear 7 o'clock chance stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's a neighbor right downstairs who at 7 p.m. every day, this neighbor downstairs plays the Canadian national anthem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. I quite like it. I think they're doing, and if anyone from healthcare is watching this, keep up the good work.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're doing such a great job here. And like you said, it's so important to support the healthcare workers and support, each other during this time. I'm sure you've heard of the group called the Truthers. Have you heard of that group?
Yeah. Those guys. Yeah. They're like the flat earthers of COVID-19, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're the non-believers, and they're out there. But lucky for us, I don't think we have too many of them. So everyone in Vancouver has been really great. And I find, even on the streets, everyone's practicing social distancing. So I think we're doing a pretty good job as well. I agree with that. I want to move on to fitness, though, with you. You and I started working together about 2 years ago. And before you started working with me, I believe you had worked with a previous trainer as well. What made you decide to get back into fitness when you first moved to Canada? Did you just get right back into training, or did you have a training?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, so here's the thing. When I came to Canada, the junk food is cheap and it's easy to get over there. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. When I would move to university, I was working part-time, like, and barely earning. Meals would be like Subway. They would have the $5 foot-long sub of the day.
Yeah.
And I would just have that, like, 3-4 times a week.
Okay.
And like, I got pretty big. I mean, I wasn't like humongous by any sense of the word, but I became pretty big. Like, at my heaviest, I was 236 pounds.
Is that right? I know that's kind of funny. Because
I'm 201 right now, I think.
That's right. Yeah, I do Kane's diet now, so I know exactly what his weight's at. I didn't know you got that heavy. Wow.
I got really heavy, and man, I tell you, it was. I wasn't happy with it at all.
Right.
So when I was in India, I was fairly skinny when I was young. I would have I would have really high metabolism, and like anything I would eat was just like, I don't know what would happen to it. Like I used to eat a ton, but maybe it's the difference in quality of food from there to here or something, or maybe it's the hormones they put in this junk food. I don't know, but I really, or maybe it's just my age.
I was gonna say most likely age. Yeah, age is catching up to you.
Yeah, exactly. And I just felt terrible about it.
Yeah.
2017, I got diagnosed with something called a giant cell tumor in my right knee.
Right.
It's a bone tumor, and like, it just blindsided me. It came out of nowhere. I'd gone jet skiing once, and I rode up this wave, and I landed in the trough. The waters were fairly choppy that day.
We just broke out again. Sorry, I lost that. Yeah, I heard you. You just broke out.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so when I went jet skiing, I rode up this wave, landed on the trough, and I smashed my knee into the jet ski, and like it was just a shooting pain that I had. So anyways, I go down to the doctor, and they misdiagnose me.
Right.
They tell me that I have that I pulled a ligament or a tendon, one of those two, I can't remember,
Okay.
and they recommend me to go. I started doing the physiotherapy for like maybe a month and a half or something.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing changes. So I go back to the doc, and I'm like, I need to get an X-ray done on this because it's not changing.
Yeah.
So they get the X-ray done, and 3 days later, I get a call from the clinic, and she was like, "Hey, you need to come in right now." So I just like run in, and they tell me that I have this giant cell tumor, and the doctor's like, I mean, like, yeah. So I'm like, the doctor's like, it sounds worse than it actually is. It's not that bad. It's not malignant or anything, but you had a 1 in a million chance to get it. So I guess you won the lottery. And I'm like, are you trying to be funny right now, man? Like it's not the right time to be funny.
No, it was pretty serious.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of crazy because like all this while I thought I was fine. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a little overweight, but I thought I was okay. And this sort of was like a reality check. Anyway, so I go in for the surgery, and I'm out of commission for like 5 months. Like I can't, and I say I'm out of commission for 5 months. Like I can't walk for like 3 or they had me in crutches. It was in my right knee. So like I opened my entire right knee, and I have this huge scar on it.
Yeah.
It was really painful, the recovery process. And during the recovery process, like, I mean, I formed depression at that point in time.
Yeah.
Because it was summer, and like I had no one. I had Nikki, and she had just started a new job.
Yeah.
And she couldn't be around, so like I was alone for most of the day.
Right.
Doing my own thing. Like my PlayStation was like my best friend at that time.
Is that right?
I mean, I had nothing else to do, quite literally. I was sitting in bed.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't work. And I had just joined the company I work with like right now at that time in 2017.
Yeah.
And because I had just joined the company, I wasn't eligible for the extended health benefits. So I wasn't getting paid. I had to apply for employment insurance,
right,
which for some reason didn't come until 3 days before I went back to work. So I got this massive lump sum amount like at the end, and I was like, yeah, thanks for sending this.
Thanks now. Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, like I had to dip into my savings.
Okay.
So yeah, that was really bad. And then of 2017, I said, I'm going to get a gym membership, and I'm going to start. That's when I joined, Steve Nash. And quite honestly, I started training on my own and stuff. And then I met this guy who said, you should still train. Why not? Let's give it a shot.
Okay. So he was a trainer.
Yeah, he was a trainer. He said, I can help you get to your goals and stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he takes me, and he's like, okay, it'll cost you this much, and you get 12 or 16 classes. I can't remember, 12 or 16 classes, one of the two.
Okay.
But it was a commercial gym after all, right? So these guys have a certain amount of sales targets to make.
Certain quota, yes.
Yeah. So I understand that, right? And he was really young, like he was like maybe 23 years old at that time. Okay. So he gave me a lot of machine workouts in the beginning. So I thought like we'd shift to free weights, but we never did.
Okay.
So I ended up only working out on the machines, and I wasn't particularly happy with my results at that point in time.
Yeah.
Which is why when I heard about you, I said, yeah, sure, let's try it out. It's just being not a commercial gym. Yeah. I felt had its advantages. Right. Which is why I came to you.
I want to just backtrack for a second, though, just to go back before you worked with that trainer. The tumor itself, was that caused? Do you know what caused that?
They didn't know.
They didn't know. They
didn't know. And and I tried researching it on myself.
Right.
So when they found it, it was 9.7 centimeters long.
Oh wow.
So
okay. Yeah.
So that gave them the impression that it was in my knee for a really long time.
Sure.
But it was only that instance on the jet ski that actually made it known, right?
Okay.
So what I think it was, and I don't know if this is true or not, but way back in 2002, I remember playing soccer one day, and I fell down and I hit my knee on the ground, and then within 1 week my knee had swollen to like this bulbous sort of mass,
right?
And it was filled with water. So I had to go to the doctor, and he just like removed the water, and it was all fine, and like everything was hunky dory after
I
that.
see.
But
Okay. Okay.
it was the same right knee.
Sure.
It could have been that, but really,
Yeah.
like, they don't know. The doctors say that because of it being so rare, they're not sure what exactly causes it. So
I see. Okay.
hard to say.
So then when you started working out, now let's move forward. So when you started going to Steve Nash, which is a training facility here in Vancouver, British Columbia, you were working with a trainer, a young trainer, and he had put you primarily on machines. Did you
Correct.
ever ask him as to why he chose to put you on machines only?
Yeah, I asked him in the beginning. I was like, can I not do free weights? He's like, oh, because you've not worked out in such a long time, it's easier to get started with machines.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
what he said.
Right. Okay.
Because machines do like what 50% of the job for you, I think, right? So
yeah, my personal opinion on machines. I'm not a big fan of machines. I think they have their place maybe for rehabilitation work. But even then, I even say to the clients who are brand new to the gym, I'm like, you've got to use your stabilizers eventually. So that's where free weights come in. So after you had trained with that trainer, were you a little bit, were you upset with the trainer? Were you upset with the establishment or?
I don't blame the trainer, honestly.
Okay.
He did what he thought was right, I
Right.
feel,
Okay.
as per the rules of the organization.
Yeah.
He's a nice enough guy. Like
Sure.
I met him like a few months ago as well, and he's pretty chill. Like
Yeah.
I quite liked it. There's
Okay.
no problem with him. I think it was the way they go the way they go about with the training.
Right.
It's like, the clients are more of like sales targets than anything else, right? So there's that pressure on, okay, you need to have this many sales in a month or whatever.
Yeah.
This is your target. So, so I think that messes with the actual care for the clients, in wanting to see them achieve their goals and results and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when I was training with the guy, he would say, hey, you should try this supplement or that supplement or whatever, have this pre-workout and stuff.
Right. Right.
So I mean, I'm sure that's all part of the plan when it comes to like these guys training. So
well, and we should mention these supplements that you're referring to. I believe that establishment sold those supplements as well.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah. I think they used a product called Dot Fit or something at the time.
Yes.
I have always, and I think this is with myself, when I recommend supplements to clients, I always say, no, go for the most cost-effective ones you can find. Good quality, but cost-effective, so I'll tell you, hey, Kane, go to Costco, get your whey isolate. It's a good whey isolate. It's only $50. Yeah, I think it's a conflict of interest when I see trainers pushing supplements that they themselves sell. And I believe the same thing with naturopaths as well. Naturopaths pushing supplements that they themselves sell. I don't think that, I think that is a huge conflict of interest. I want to ask you though, when you were training at that gym, was it like a pushy sales tactic on you to like buy?
Well, this guy didn't really do that.
Okay.
But like he would let it slip every now and then, like, hey, if you're experiencing, like, if you feel fatigued before, because I used to train in the evenings, right? So
right.
It's like, hey, if you feel like a little fatigue after the end of the day, have this pre-workout that we sell.
Okay.
I have it all the time. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, and he was just like, he's like, I'll show it to you. Come here, you have this flavor, that flavor, that flavor. I'm like, yeah, man, it's all right. It's cool.
Yeah, no, I get that. And that makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay. So, I mean, you and I, we started working together. I want to say it was beginning 2018. I want to say it was fall 2018, around that time.
It was the end of August. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And when you would come to me, at that point, your leg had looked pretty bad. I mean, yeah, it was pretty bad. And you had told me that you hadn't done any lunges, any squats. You hadn't pretty much done anything for your legs, right? Just machines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you and I start working together, and we're working on free weights, right? And it was a little bit of a process for you to get back into the gym first of all and do free weight movements. But all of a sudden, I got you into one of my leg classes, and you started killing it. And now you're a regular in my leg classes. Well, not right now during COVID-19, but you're a regular. How did you find that transition though from moving from machines to free weights?
It wasn't easy in the beginning. I mean, I started off with really light. I don't even remember what I started off, maybe 15, 20 pounds, I guess, like, when doing like shoulder press and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was hard because I felt that my stabilizers weren't like all working all that well.
Right.
But once I got into the knack of and the habit of constantly doing it, and I sort of saw the results that like I got, like, especially after the first 3 months of working with you, right. I was really happy with it because like I had never really worked with free weights in the past.
Right.
but once I got over that initial hurdle of like the stabilizing and stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty easy going from there. I think what really matters with me is that I need to constantly do something to get myself, like, to get myself motivated enough to like,
Sure.
to have it as a second habit.
Well,
And, out with you and these constant workouts,
yeah.
they've really helped me. Like, I mean, from a health perspective, from a confidence perspective and stuff,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things which I really appreciate for when I come and work out, and just the satisfaction that I get in working with the free weights
Right.
is something which is unparalleled. Like, I mean, after a workout, like I feel like completely energized.
Yeah. And that's how you should feel after a workout. I agree with you. I think, I played around in the machines in the past myself, and I'm not a big fan of them. I don't think, well, that's it. When you're done a free weight workout, you're usually drenched in sweat, you're tired, you're done. And that's because you have exhausted your muscles and your stabilizers. I want to move on to diet with you. You and I have worked together on your diet for the past 2 years on and off. And, you talked briefly earlier that back in the day, your diet wasn't the cleanest.
Yeah.
I know for a fact your diet now, because I designed it, is very clean.
Yeah.
Was that difficult for you to go from eating kind of whatever you want to now you're portioning out your meals, weighing all your meals out and eating a clean diet?
Oh yeah, it was horrible for the first like 2 or 3 weeks. I think when the first time we did the nutritional plan, for the first 2 weeks, like, I mean, I was dying because, like, I mean, your body has to get used to that, right? To that new sort of the new intake of food and macros and stuff. So for the first 2 weeks, like I was feeling lethargic, and like honestly, like I was having a lot of Coke Zero, just because that's like the closest thing to junk that I could have.
Yeah.
But like I said, like I'm a creature of habit. The more I do something, it just becomes second nature to me, right? So especially with the diet, like, I mean, it was bland. Like I was having a lot of chicken at that time, and chicken like without any salt, without any curry or spices or whatever. Like, I mean, it's just like, it's horrible tasting.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Sriracha was my
main, you like it.
I love the sauce. It's become like it's become like my go-to sauce for like anything, right?
Yeah.
Like right now, right? So it was quite a transition for me. But I kept on telling myself, that even though like it doesn't taste all like, I know it's gonna do me good in the future. I would never want to be in that position that I was in 2017 again. Right. I would never want to be as unhealthy as I was at that time. So by me telling that to myself, and I would have this joke with Nikki, like, oh, this stuff tastes amazing. I love me some bland chicken,
Yeah.
And that's what I tend to do, right? You probably hear me doing the leg workouts. Oh, I love leg workouts. I bloody hate them, but I love them. Like it's one of those things.
It's true though. You're lying to yourself, but it's positive reinforcement. I say the same thing all the time. And, you've learned, because you do live, your girlfriend, who I also work with, she's very creative in the kitchen. So, I'll do her plan for her, and her food, the way she makes food, like spices and everything. So you can make bland chicken taste pretty good. And she knows how to do that. Me, I'm terrible in the kitchen. I'm fine with eating bland chicken. I've done it for years. But would you say that since you cleaned up your diet as well, has your performance in the gym, have you noticed that changes as well?
Oh yeah. 100%. Like, I mean, if I don't have those oats in the morning, like before coming to the gym and working out, like I just don't do as well. I don't know. I don't feel right. Like like there are times where I've had, instead of the oats, like I've had Ezekiel bread.
Right.
And it's just not worked out for me. Like, but like the days I have oats, it's just perfect. It's fine. So, I think, it does have a tremendous impact on the gym, and even when I have my cheat meal, like the night prior, and I come in the next morning, I still don't feel as good, right?
No,
I mean, because I feel like bloated and stuff, right?
If you feel bloated and gassy, a little bit hungover, it's almost like you've been on a drinking binge. Oh, you froze me. There you go. That's another thing too I wanted to talk to you before I let you go with the diet and the training, is that, you're a perfect example of someone I've worked with in the past. And I'm not using Kane to promote any service or anything. I'm just saying that you are a perfect example of someone who has gone from like 0 to 180, like in a course of 2 years, which is really not that much time. And it's because you're putting your diet and your training together. You're not just doing one without the other. And, that's so important. I know a lot of people might look at you and go, man, he can eat whatever he wants though. He's lean. But you'll tell them too. I mean, if you do that, A, you feel like crap. And also because of your fast metabolism, you're what we call a true ectomorph. I've had this discussion with you in the past. So you
Mhm.
could eat really whatever, and you lose weight very quickly. You start dieting for a week, you
Mhm.
can lose weight like 3-4 pounds. But you can also lose muscle easily with that type of metabolism.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I mean, right now during COVID-19, have you gone off your eating patterns at all, or have you kind of stuck to the diet?
Stuck to the diet because, like, most of the restaurants are shut, right?
Yeah.
Like, where am I gonna go?
Yeah.
Like, I can order food in, but it's a lot more expensive when I order the food
Oh,
stuff. So,
yeah.
am I cutting? I did.
Just a little
All
bit.
right.
Yeah. I don't know why we're having a disconnection this year. It could be just the Wi-Fi. I hear you now. I see you.
Probably my Wi-Fi. I don't know.
It might
I'm
be.
sitting. I'm sitting a bit far away from the router, so yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. No, I hear most of what you're saying.
Yeah. So, what was your question again about COVID-19?
No,
Sorry, I completely forgot.
well, as you know, every Friday morning I get those weekly check-ins, and I think I was
Yeah.
actually talking to you about this earlier. And you're actually not one of my clients who's been doing this, but a lot of people have been giving me the excuse, "Well, it's COVID-19. I've had this meal or I had this cheat meal. I'm stress eating." So you're not doing any of these stress eating or anything?
No.
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 Okay.
To be honest with you,
Yeah.
COVID-19 hasn't really affected me as bad as it has for some other people.
Yeah.
On a personal level, to be honest, like, aside from the fact that I get to go out a lot less,
Yeah.
I think that it's really not much has changed. I do puzzles now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a good way to spend my time. Nikki and I do a lot of ab workouts at home as well.
Yes. Yeah. I know
She
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 told
was
me.
telling you, yeah, she was
Yeah.
telling you about that as well. So it's actually had a kind of a positive impact in a way,
Yeah.
because without this, stuck at home for so long, I wouldn't be able to do all of this stuff, like I would have done in the past.
Right.
As far as my diet is concerned, like, I still very, very regularly, routinely stick to the nutritional plan.
That's good. Yeah.
So, also it helps me when I know for a fact that when I cheat,
Yeah.
I just feel absolutely terrible
Yeah.
at the end of it. Like, I feel like horrible, like it's just that I don't want to feel that way, and that's why I wouldn't do it,
Sure.
really. So that sort of keeps me in check, because I feel bloated afterwards.
Yeah. It's
Right.
amazing though, right? Because if you think 5 years ago, you would never thought twice, you have a bag of chips, you wouldn't even give it a second thought, but you've matured in your years with your diet. Before I let you go, I also want to talk about one more thing with you. You have an online blog, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And what do you talk about with that blog?
Well, it doesn't really have a theme, but really,
Okay.
I tend to. So for someone like me, is that I like to really delve deep into stuff.
Right.
Be it social issues or, even movies and stuff, right? So, like, if you look at my blog, like, it has a lot of personal stuff that has gone on in my life, and the experiences that I had and what I learned from those experiences.
Okay.
The other posts are about, well, movie reviews, because I love movies. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can watch, like, movies all day if you give me the opportunity to.
Really?
So I love movies, man. I was always a huge movie buff.
Okay.
Ever since a kid, right? So I watch a lot of movies and I write
Yeah.
about them. I write about movies which I find particularly enjoyable.
Okay.
I write about social issues and a lot of personal stuff as well in my life. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a mix. And really, the blog which I write, it's like an outlet for me to articulate my thoughts.
Okay.
And I find I find writing very therapeutic.
I agree. Too. Yeah.
It's something that I can sit and I can focus on and give my entire attention to.
Right.
And I enjoy it. So a lot of the times, the blogs that I write, even though I put it out there for everyone to see, a lot of times, like, I just write them for myself because why not, right?
And is there an IP address for that blog?
Yeah, it's called scenesfromalife.net.
Okay.
I'll send you the link. So that's it, really. It's just a regular blog that I put stuff on. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have a theme. It's just things which I personally find interesting, and I write about them.
Well, the thing though with you, Kane, is you're well informed and you're well educated, so I'm sure you have interesting things to write about. You know, you're not just sitting there and ranting, and you can critique movies, which is great too.
Yeah, that's me. You know, like I
Yeah.
have like this interest in all sorts of random things. Like, I mean, you know, the other day, like Nikki and I were watching this video about relative time dilation and Einstein's theory of relativity and stuff, and she looks at me and she's like, "You're into a lot of random things, aren't you?" And I'm like, "What can I do?" You know,
That's good
it's
though.
interesting, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I enjoy being informed about
yeah,
different things, right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, I was reading about those UFO footage which
Oh yeah,
the Pentagon just released,
I saw
and
that.
it's like, and I found it super interesting that, you know, no one's talking about it.
No,
Like,
no.
I mean, it's really weird, but yeah, you know, so, and that sort of got me down this rabbit hole and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, so all these like random things, like, you know, when I just see it, like I just like go deep into it. So yeah,
I think
that's
COVID-19 has distracted a lot of people from other news that's going on in the world right now.
yeah, right.
I mean, even when we had that mass shooting 2 weeks ago in I think it was Nova
Nova
Scotia,
Scotia,
right? Yeah, I mean that was terrible. But it doesn't seem like
deadliest
many
in
people.
history,
Yeah,
deadliest
yeah,
in history, right?
yeah.
It's
That's
so
right.
weird, yeah, and, like no one's talking about that stuff.
Not to the degree that it should be talked about, you know.
Yeah,
And I do
yeah.
think that's because COVID-19 is going on right now, so people are so focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
Kane, I'm going to put a link to your blog in the description of this video below so people can check it
Mm-hmm.
out. I've checked it out. I think it's great. But, you know, you are well informed and well educated. So I think, you know, it's worth looking for and like, people can read. And like I said, you're not ranting and raving. Some people, they write a blog like me. I write my blogs, I rant, I rave. Yeah. But, you know,
Yeah.
you've got some good
It's a
stuff.
different style. It's a different style. Like, I have a
Exactly.
very different style of writing. Everyone tells me that my style of writing is really like different from what people really read,
Yeah.
and that's how I like to keep it really.
No, it's original, right? It's you.
Mhm.
Kane, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
And
me.
no, thank you. And I look forward to reading more blogs. And I also look forward to seeing how you come out of COVID-19, because you're one of the guys who I know is going to come out better. You know, you got your
Yeah.
diet in. I know you're working out hard. So, I mean, you're not letting this stop you,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
for sure.
super motivating to see. I love having people like you on the channel.
All right.
Kane, thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
This video is going to go out on Monday morning. So, or no, Monday afternoon, most likely. So usually uploads Monday afternoon. So yeah, something to look forward to start your week with.
Sweet.
All
I'll
right.
check it out.
Thanks,
All
Kane.
right.
Have a great one.